back, everyone. I'm Noel Cuarezma with Soaring Marketing Solutions. This is the podcast, the MedSpa Growth Podcast. I'm here joined by a new partner to the business. I was able to get connected with her through another connection that I have. I have Dev on the line. She is a fractional CFO and bookkeeper. So I'm here. This podcast is designed to be able to talk about MedSpa solutions, strategies, and like I shared before, I want to have different industry experts that they can also come on here, share their expertise, their stories, what they provide. That way, we're all growing as a community. Our med spas, our practices, to be able to drive revenue, scale to different locations. So I want to welcome Dev. She's our first guest here in the MedSpa Growth Podcast. So I want to welcome Dev. If you can, kindly introduce yourself to the audience.
Thank you, Noel. Thank you for inviting me. This is such a great honor, and I'm really happy to be here. A little bit about myself. I am Dev. I'm the co-founder of Numbers Nirvana, and we provide fractional CFO and bookkeeping services to small and medium-sized businesses. And one of the niches that we work with very closely are private practices like med spas. So we know how to help med spas, how to do their bookkeeping because med spas have a lot of unearned versus earned revenue and stuff like that. So that's the tricky part. And then they have inventory and stuff like that. So there is way more technicalities for a med spa in terms of bookkeeping. And then of course I also help them with their growth in with my fractional CFO services, and we can go deeper into that. So yeah, this is a little short version of myself. Yeah.
Awesome. No, perfect. I think that's a great intro. And yeah, I think if we can maybe first just start off by defining that, what is actually a fractional CFO? Sometimes we use all these terms within our industries that we think it's common knowledge, but sometimes people, they don't know what we're talking about sometimes. So I want to make sure. I know I have a tendency of doing this a lot, especially once I start talking about more like technical marketing terms that I have to kind of, okay, like step on the brakes and kind of go back and okay, like let's define different terms so we can get everybody on the same page. So for those that may not know, because like I was sharing you before the podcast, I didn't know CFO from fractional CFOs, fractional consulting. So I kind of learned that term. I would say just about a week or so before I got in contact with you through Robert. So we can maybe just start off there. Like, what is actually a fractional CFO and what roles do you play and within that for a med spa?
Yes. So essentially, fractional CFO is a CFO is Chief Financial Officer, and fractional, as in instead of full time, you have somebody on hire. So you pay a monthly fixed retainer, and then you have a certain deliverables and certain number of meetings, or you have with them to get the financial advisory support. So essentially, like a CFO, a chief financial officer in a big company, like a publicly traded Fortune 500 or even mid-sized, small-sized company, they do a lot more. They are doing investor relations. They are doing um they're doing investor relations. They are talking about, they are dealing with the stocks. They are dealing with different investments. So a CFO, depending on the size of the company, can do very different roles. But when I say that I'm a fractional CFO for like a small business, so small to medium sized business, essentially what I'm doing is I'm offering advisory services on from a finance perspective. So what does that exactly mean? So the way I describe what I do is I help business owners make more money and keep more of the money they are making by helping them understand the money flow of their business and remove financial fog. So, what does that mean
Excellent.
again? So, for example, a business owner, let's take an example of a med spa owner. They might have questions like, hey, how do I consistently pay myself? Like, How can I get
Mhm.
there? What is my profitability per offering? Are my costs increasing, creeping up? Can I afford to hire a new technician? How much revenue should I need to make in order to be able to hire a new person? Or maybe if I hire a new person, do I have enough cash runway? Because once a new person needs couple of months to settle in and started bringing that revenue. So do I have that cash cushion in order to hire, train, and bring that person to level so that the revenue that they are supposed to generate starts covering for their cost? How is my inventory looking? Um, How's my inventory looking? How is my profitability looking? How is my productivity per employee? Things like that. Is my marketing even working? Like, where should I invest my
Mhm.
marketing in? How do I improve in profitability of each of my services? How do I start tracking things? So that's what essentially I help in. Like these fundamental business questions that a business owner has and does not know where to get the answer from. So that's where I help the business owner. And the way I do it is I analyze the business across operations, marketing, and finance. Then I will build a customized dashboard for the business, a customized cash flow forecast, a customized P&L and P&L forecast, uh, budget versus actuals, and then analyze where are we falling short and why, and do any other kind of modeling that the business owner needs in order to be able to make decisions. So essentially, that's what a fractional CFO does from a small business perspective. But a CFO can be doing way more stuff. Like it really depends on the company, the size, and their needs. A lot of times, what I do is done at a much smaller level in a very big company, right? Like more
Mhm.
junior, like an analyst or a consultant they are doing that kind of work. So it really depends. But when I say I'm doing fractional CFO for a small to medium sized business, this is what I really mean. Like I help the business owner make decisions based on data, show them where they should be focusing, how can they accomplish what they want to accomplish, and help them grow their business profitably, sustainably, and in the long term.
Oh, awesome. No, that's great because that's one thing that I teach here, on the podcast and my frameworks is that you have to look at the numbers. The numbers tell a story. And I think a lot of med spa owners, unfortunately, are kind of scared to look at numbers. Or maybe they're just not doing a good job of tracking. Since we do the marketing for them, like we want to make sure if we're generating a lead, what happens with that lead? Like when are they getting contacted? When are they getting followed up with? Did they book an appointment? Why haven't they? So I think sometimes MedSpa owners, like any business owners, like they're wearing multiple hats, they're doing multiple things in the practice, in the location. So maybe they don't have time to look at the numbers and actually like sit down and see exactly what is the health of their business. So I think that's one thing that I preach about, I teach, I try to focus in on is like, what are the numbers? What are the numbers saying? And then that's how we optimize campaigns. That's how we can optimize what it is that we're doing from our end and then you just
Yeah.
take a whole those numbers and then you go just like multiple miles deeper into those numbers. So now that we're here already talking to these med spa owners, what would you say is like some of the financial mistakes that you see most med spa owners make when it comes to maybe not tracking, maybe not taking inventory what it is that they're doing, like what we think is the most common financial mistakes med spa owners make?
Some of the biggest financial mistakes that the med spa owners are making is they are not tracking earned versus unearned revenue because so that's very important. Then tracking inventory correctly is very important. And then they're not like when you mentioned marketing, one of the things that I as a fractional CFO like to track, I don't go very detailed into marketing. I'll go a little bit because marketing tells the part of the overall business story. But one of
Mhm.
the important marketing metrics that I like to track is customer acquisition cost and lifetime value of a customer.
Mhm.
So those things needs to get tracked, whether you have a marketing person or not. Like you're doing something for marketing and your marketing has a cost. Then um or not like owners pay not paying themselves consistently. um then one of the bigger another mistakes is they take loans, for example, for their equipments and stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
all of those payments goes into expenses instead of actually recording the liability when you are taking a loan, and then you have to reduce your liability and only your interest payments go into your
Mm-hmm.
P&L. Um, and then another thing that they are not doing is, I would say, not having a clear cash flow forecast. I think cash
Mm-hmm.
flow forecast is very important for a med spa business, like having a rolling 13-week cash flow forecast, because trust me, it opens your mind when you know, okay, where is your cash position going to be? Like
Mm-hmm.
13 weeks down the line, so that you can now take steps now based on the cash. And cash flow is very easy. Like, well, I say easy, but fundamentally
Mm-hmm.
it's easy. It's like cash coming in, cash flow, how much cash you have right now, cash coming in, cash going out, and then
Mm-hmm.
what's remaining. Um, and also not having enough cash runway in the account. So a
Mm-hmm.
lot of med spa owners have more heavy liability than heavy asset, and that becomes an issue when they want to go to maybe a bank to finance something, or they want to go to investors, or they want to sell. So those things, and not tracking profitability by service line or what's going on by each service line. Like you need to look at overall numbers, but I would also suggest you need to
Mm-hmm.
also look into by each of your services and stuff like that. So these
Mm-hmm.
are some of the things, and not tracking how much is your gross margin and how is your net margin and how is that growing month over month. That's another important factor that the business owners are not tracking.
Mm-hmm. No,
Yeah.
exactly. I think you mentioned it a couple of times is that, some med spa owners are not paying themselves just because, they're not doing a good job of overhead, of expenses, with managing the flow of the money. One thing I like to kind of say is follow the flow. You need lead flow, leads to deal flow equals your cash flow. So my framework is you got to get leads coming in because without leads, you're not getting new opportunities, you're not getting new clients, new services. So if you want to increase your cash flow, you kind of have to reverse engineer it, saying, how many leads are we getting per month? Exactly like you mentioned, cost per acquisition, what's my lifetime value? So then when that way they can see, how they can actually, what are they willing to spend and invest into marketing to really acquire that new customer. So just hitting on that you mentioned, you've seen some med owners, unfortunately, they're working in the business and they may even be, on paper seem to be doing a lot. So why do you think that some med spas they can generate significant revenue but still kind of struggle financially? Like what would be the cause of that? And they can't even pay themselves, imagine.
Yeah, that happens a lot where med spas they're making one to like between 1 to 3 million in revenue every year, but still they are not consistently paying themselves. And two big and one three big reasons come to that. One is rent, that becomes a big
Mm-hmm.
expense. Second is labor. So the owners are paying everybody except themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third is a lot of times what I've noticed is business owners take, because they have to run payroll or for different reasons, they take high interest MCA loans, or
Mm-hmm.
so those MCA loans take all over the cash flows because they're very high interest. So then they just take over all the cash that the business generates, and the owners are not able to pay themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That's why
Got
having
it.
a cash flow forecast and being proactive that, okay, I will have trouble paying for payroll
Mm-hmm.
2 months down the line. So they let me plan for it right now is very important, because what happens is, oh, payroll is due. I need money right now.
Mm-hmm.
MCA. Things like that. So you
Mm-hmm.
go for these loans which are very high interest and which have
Mm-hmm.
daily, weekly debits. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and that really crushes a business.
No, yeah, I've definitely have seen that working, with med spa owners, I have one practice in mind that, yeah, they've went out there, they went to the big conferences, they got one or two devices, they got it financed, and then they weren't managing money properly. And unfortunately, yeah, they went under those devices, which is, yeah, you want to go ahead and get devices because that's going to help you increase, the services that you can offer. But if you don't have the right cash flow, you don't really have the marketing strategy behind that to acquire those patients for the device, because I always say, people, doctors, med spa owners, they get devices, but they don't think the equation is okay. Now, how do we fill in the appointments? How do you fill the rooms? How do we actually get people to come in for those specific services? So, yeah, what you're talking about there is just like, wow, it's like numbers, and then it just gets deeper to exactly pinpoint what they're tracking. So, when you talk about cash flow forecast, is this like a software that you have, or is this like a simple Excel spreadsheet that you haven't fill out? Like, what exactly do you use to help them like actually like create this dashboard to like track those numbers for them?
So for dashboard, I use different softwares depending on their needs. For example, I can use Google Looker Studio or Clipfolio or Coefficient or anything. Like it really depends what I choose. With cash flow forecasting, so far I just do it on Excel.
Okay.
Maybe that will change in future. Um,
Hmm.
but for now, I feel like building a good Excel model is the best way to do cash flow forecasting.
Okay, okay.
And then
And then
updating it every month,
so
every week, sorry. Yeah.
every week. Okay. So then okay, so you want them to do it every week. And how important you think it is to do it like every week, input those numbers into the system? Like let's say an owner's like, I'm too busy, let me do it once a month. Like how important is it to kind of like, keep your eye on the numbers and make sure that it's performing?
So we update the cash flow forecast on their behalf. So we
Okay.
are the ones who are updating the forecast. And I would say because cash flow forecast is on a week by week basis, not a month by month basis, it is very
Mhm.
important to update it once a week.
Okay, perfect, perfect.
Yeah.
So and then so you have the spreadsheet, you have the columns filled out, that the information you need in order to fill that forecast out for them. And then
Yeah.
is like a way that you connect to their CRM, or do you provide like a list of what they need to be tracking for them? You have a copy of it. How would that work if a MedSpa owner wanted to start working with you to kind of see more on the operation side of it?
So so the way it works is depending on the level of support, like at least like at the CFO level, I will meet once or twice a month. But apart from that, the forecast keeps getting updated every week,
Mhm.
and it's on a Google sheet, so they will have access to it anytime they want. But like I will only meet them once or twice a month, and
Okay.
and that's when we discuss what's the next step, what the numbers are saying, and yeah. And then if they have any questions, they want to meet me more, then of course we can schedule a ad hoc meeting
Mhm.
or email back and forth. So that support is of course there, but usually it's depending. It's once I will meet my clients once or twice a month.
Okay,
But
great,
the
great.
forecasts gets updated every week. The dashboards get updated automatically. All of that.
Okay. So then, yeah, so they fill it out on a weekly basis, and obviously it's daily, added up by, daily, logins, and then you have about two calls per month to kind of review and go a deep dive, explain, and kind of forecast the next steps for growth. So I know we're talking a lot about numbers and metrics and stuff like that. So if a med spa owner is listening today and they're watching the recording, they see it maybe, down the road, but if they feel today like overwhelmed, they're stressed, they have uncertainty about their numbers, what's one piece of advice that you would give them?
Um, Build a dashboard because a lot of the information is in their EMR system, and then a lot of the information is in the financial system, and then a lot of info. Then they're doing marketing, which is a different system altogether, and all of these. The so EMR system I call the operation system. Their QuickBooks or their account is the financial system. And then marketing, whatever marketing they're doing. So maybe it's Facebook, networking, Google Ads, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So if you bring those all together in one place, and then those numbers are, getting updated on a daily, weekly basis, depending on what the numbers are, that you can
Mm-hmm.
see overall the health of the business at one go, you know,
Mm-hmm.
everything that needs to get tracked. Okay, how is my gross margins this month? Or how is my gross margins this week? How much revenue I've earned and how much of it is, you know, earned versus unearned, how much actual cash I'm getting, all of that. So it gives you an overall um, overview of the business, which is very important for a MedSpa.
Mm-hmm.
Because if not, they're looking at different reports, running different
Mm-hmm.
things, and nobody can make sense of that. Like if they're on in different systems and you don't understand how
Mm-hmm.
they're in, how the different parts, all different parts of the business are interconnected, right? Like
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
so
Yeah.
so when you combine them in a dashboard, you can see the interconnectedness of it, and you can see what the story is saying. That hey, I
Mm-hmm.
invested in this market in Google Ads 3 months ago, and now my revenue is starting to spike up. So that means this is important, or this is working. And if you can see, oh, I got this many views, this many links, these many bookings from these Google
Campaign.
Ads, so you
Yeah.
can clearly see, okay, the investment in this marketing is creating this much revenue, and all of that, or like what my utilization of my 3 to 7 employees is this much. And if I just make these minor changes, I can improve the utilization and then that will improve my revenue by this percent. So having them all in one place is very, very valuable.
Hmm. Exactly. Yeah. It's being organized, being, detailed on it. So yeah, I think tracking is kind of what we're leaning on is that, yeah, you have to run the numbers, you have to track the numbers because yeah, numbers tell the story. And in the beginning, hey, look, they may tell a bad story. It may not be a story you like, but at least it gives you like, okay, this is what I need to work on. It gives you opportunities for improvement, for growth,
Exactly.
to optimize. So you actually do want to be scared of it, and then let's get you on the right path with the right marketing strategy, partner with the right fractional CFO to make sure that we can turn that story around. So what would you say? I was gonna say, so I know you work with a couple different industries, but what kind of drew you to decide working and focusing on helping med spas specifically?
So, because I feel like private practice offices like MedSpas, they really, that's an industry, that's a $17 billion industry, and it's growing by billions every month. And it's an industry where there are a lot of business owners and they're making a lot of money, but they're still struggling. So I feel like that's what my goal is as a fractional CFO, to help businesses who have good potential and who have like a really great future, to help them realize that future. And
Hmm.
I feel in that industry, my skills are really useful to help a business owner navigate the landscape and to make correct decisions and to grow. And also, med spas have a lot of like women business owners, and I
Hmm.
would like to work with women and support women. So that's another reason that I want to be in this industry. And what I hear is for a lot of women, they feel comfortable because finance is such a vulnerable part of every
Hmm.
individual, irrespective of, doesn't matter if it's business finance, personal finance, the concept is same. People are that's the most vulnerable space.
Hmm.
And I want to be that safe space, but also that, like, hey, that authority, that,
Hmm.
hey, you are safe with me, this is a no judgment zone, but these are the steps we need to take, and these are
Correct.
some where and And I feel like people feel comfortable having the hard conversations with me because I have those hard conversations in a very no judgment
Hmm.
dynamic.
Exactly, because you're coming like exposing, like you kind of like bare all, coming in naked, exposing, I thought I had a great business. I thought I was running my practice efficiently. Because again, some of these people, like you said, some of these owners may be making a million, $2 or $3 million, but then at the end of it, they have not much to show for it that they can't even pay themselves. So I think, especially being like in the financial world and running numbers, it can be like a more like a male dominated, sector and industry. So to have, a woman that can kind of like be at their level, help them understand that, look, we're here to, again, we're not the bad guys here. Like if it's on the marketing side, if it's on the accounting and financial side, like we want to help you grow. The idea is, okay, like what are you generating? What are the goals and what are you producing? And then what's the path to growth based on what it is that you have? It's like when I deal with business, business owners, MedSpa owners, like, yeah, they want to advertise, they want to market, and they want to just let's invest a little and then just hope and pray for a miracle that is going to grow into so much more, which is like I say, it's like I don't do magic, I don't do miracles. I do marketing. So marketing is also numbers based that we have to, okay, like start with a number that's going to actually produce your results, not that's going to have you be in the hope and prayer strategy of let's hope and see what comes out of it. And one
I
thing that
think,
you mentioned before that I kind of want to go back and touch on is that you mentioned earned versus unearned income, correct?
yes.
What do you mean by that? It's just like money coming in, which is like potential collecting. Like, what do you mean when you refer to earn versus unearned income?
So med spas or they sell a lot of packages
Mm-hmm.
or they have memberships, and in that memberships certain things are included and stuff like that. So just because revenue has come in, that doesn't mean or money has come in, that doesn't mean it's revenue. Cash
Mm-hmm.
coming in doesn't mean revenue. So
Hmm.
it is only, so technically that's still a liability. So it
Mm-hmm.
only becomes revenue once the service has been delivered. So for
Mm-hmm.
example, somebody took a $900 package
Mm-hmm.
and and it includes three facials. I'm just including. So they took a
Exactly.
$900 package and they paid that $900, but they only have taken, when they bought the package, they took the one facial and they haven't taken the other two facials yet. So you can't be
Mm.
recognizing the full $900 as revenue. So if
Okay.
I divide that 900 by 3, then only $300 is your revenue, $600 is your unearned revenue, and it's a liability. So it goes into
Okay.
your balance sheet.
Okay, gotcha. So
Yeah,
you advise them to have like a savings account, or like kind of like stash that money
yeah,
away, right? Because they know once people see money coming in, they think it kind of all revenue, so let's go out there and spend it to, pay for this, buy that, and it's like no, you gotta have to like see the numbers, but then make sure you are a good steward of what you have and actually allocate it to where the money belongs to. So that's good. Yeah, okay,
exactly.
that makes a lot of sense. Awesome, yeah. Because yeah, again, you want to count. You see the money, like you said, you cash coming in doesn't necessarily equate to actual revenue the business produced. So
Yeah,
that's good to keep in mind.
yes. Especially in the med spa industry. It's not
Hmm.
applicable to all industries, but in the med
Hmm.
spa industry, it is very applicable.
Okay, true,
Like in
exactly.
my business, cash coming in is revenue, right? In
Yeah,
your business also, cash coming in is revenue.
correct.
We can easily, yeah, we can go all technical, but we don't have to. We can easily do cash-based accounting, and it's fine for our business. But for
Hmm.
MedSpa, you just cannot do that, you know?
Exactly, which is where we're talking to here now.
Yeah,
Because again, that's good. I mean, there may be something that they didn't even consider or even like think about yet. So it's good that you have that, you differentiate between the two and yeah, because again, like you said, med spas, yeah, I've seen they sell on packages, memberships. So like you said, their facial package, like a body contouring, 5 sessions for like 1,000. So okay, like you can do a weekly basis the session, so you want to make sure you allocate and put that money to the side and that count all of it into the account and let's go crazy and start acquiring and buying and doing all these other things. So
mhm.
that's good, yeah, to keep definitely keep in mind. So I know you have there the logo. I know you mentioned before, name of your business. What made you decide to go with Numbers Nirvana? I like that name.
So yeah, so I have a very interesting story. So my background is Indian.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted a name that because I'm in America, I've been living in America for 12 plus years. This is where I want to have my business. So I wanted a name that Americans immediately like associate with,
Mm-hmm.
recognize like not, but also has touches upon my roots. So
Mm-hmm.
Nirvana is a Sanskrit word. It can mean it means liberation, or it can also means bliss. So so I came up with Numbers Nirvana, and the motto is numbers should give you bliss.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Awesome. No, yeah,
yeah,
when people, yeah, they want to, exactly, like your number should give you bliss. And it shouldn't be overwhelming, it shouldn't be stressful. Because again,
exactly.
it can be predictable, it can be, you can grow it. Like you want to focus on that top line so you can keep increasing and growing and expanding. So now that we hit on that analogy, having a bad story. So can you give us like a client testimony of how they were when they came to you, you ran the numbers, you saw the reports, how were they looking before they started working with you to then what was the outcome after working with you?
Yeah, so I can give you two examples. So one client story is she came. So this is a client. She was one of my first clients, and she runs like a med spa. And initially, she came from this big accounting platform. I'm not name it, but it has closed down. Like it just like yeah,
Mm,
it was a big thing in our accounting industry. But she came
mm,
just before that because they were like, hey, they are like way behind in my books. They're not doing anything on time, and they keep changing bookkeepers. So this month it's somebody else. After 2 months, it's somebody else, and yeah, and nothing is working. And she didn't even know how much revenue she's making, how much net income she's making, and stuff like that.
mm,
So when she came around, I we got on a monthly cadence. I got got up her books, and then I was doing it on a monthly cadence. And funnily enough, 3 months after that, that company, it was a big company, like
mm-hmm.
uh, with like thousands and thousands of bookkeeping clients,
Wow.
and they
Wow.
closed down. It was one of those really big software
Mm-hmm.
as a system kind of thing. Like yeah. Uh, so yeah, so that's one MedSpa client story, and the second is I'm working on right now, and so we're slowly like we're starting with the books because they are behind, and then slowly and steadily we are going to build the dashboard. And so she is also having all these struggles where when she bought the business, she's getting consistent. She's trying to get consistent on her revenue generation, and slowly turn more profitable. And now she's like, okay, I need to get my books in order. I have no
Mm-hmm.
idea where to look for my numbers in her EMR system. Like I have to run 10 reports to
Mm,
understand what's going on. So my first goal for her is to kind of design the books in such a way that answers a lot of her questions by just looking at the financial statements. And
mm-hmm.
then my goal is to build a dashboard and for her. And then once we get in our cadence of the dashboard and the cash flow forecast, then we can get more detailed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to grow slowly with her based on her
Mm-hmm.
capacity in her revenue s- and her needs,
Mm-hmm.
like,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
she would want the full service, but like she's like, I'm not there. I'm like, I
Mm-hmm.
get it. So let's just start slowly. Just start with like getting your books in order first. And then maybe we can start with maybe just a cash flow forecast. A 13-week cash flow forecast will be immensely useful to you. And then slowly we can build a dashboard. And this we
Mm-hmm.
can do over a period of like bookkeeping. So is like we'll get going in the first month. But over a period of 3 to 6 months, we can grow uh, with the support that we are doing, and that help. And that also gives you time to grow your revenue and plan for this and all of that. So I really like to work with where the clients are and give the best support
Mhm.
to where they are right now. I'm not
Correct.
going to push you something that you don't need, or even if you need, maybe you you, you cannot invest in at the moment. So
Hmm.
I understand that.
Exactly, exactly. The great thing about you is that I know we start off saying more of the fractional CFO, but you work also within the accounting and with the bookkeeping. So
Yeah.
exactly. So then seeing exactly where are you in the business, what stage are you in, what can you invest, and you have the right, package or the right services that you can allocate to that MedSpa, which is similar to what we do. The framework that I teach here is about searchability, visibility, and convertibility, meaning that can you be found online when your potential clients search for you online? Are you visible throughout all the different social platforms? Are you running any ads? And then ultimately, is that you're doing, is it converting to an actual booked appointment, or in this case, a book consultation on your calendar? So it's okay,
Yeah.
can you get booked? Can you be found? Can you be seen? And are you converting and getting appointments? So you have like that like ascension way to okay, like, let's start with the low tier. Let's just analyze your numbers. Let's make sure we track it, we optimize, and then you start with the cash flow forecast, and then you work your way up. Because of course, everybody wants everything, but a big thing with you is that instead of having a CFO on staff and be a partner, have equity, or have such a high salary, they can partner with you, or obviously in a sense hire you to on a fractional basis to see exactly what issues are you having, what problems are you facing, what are the numbers saying. So it's awesome how again what we do, it helps what you do, and then what you do helps what we do because now we're just working together as a 1-2 punch. This is why I thought it was a great, collaboration partnership that we're going to establish here to help each other grow. So it's awesome everything that you're sharing, and again, you have that ascension. I'll call it ascension plan that get med owners from just starting out. So then, how do they get to that upper tier when you have like your full expertise and experience showcasing for them. So going back with the med spa owner, if they want to grow, what would you advise that they first do? Should they hire, like a new practitioner? Should they get a new device? What exactly, if someone is looking to expand, like what would be like your growth to that expansion? Let's say they have like one location, maybe they offer, 3 or 4 simple services, like if they would come to you and say, Dev, I want to grow, I want to make more money, I want to open a second location, what would you like to see in metrics or numbers wise? And then what would be your like, advice in going to that next level with them?
I honestly would first like to any business owner, and so that includes med spas as well. Of course,
Hmm.
a bookkeeper should be one of your initial hires, just but like not even the first hire, maybe your second hire should be a bookkeeper, but one of your initial hires should be a marketing person. Like, there's no point, honestly, invest in marketing before investing in a CFO. I'll be the first one to say that. Marketing comes first and then operations and then CFO. I'll be
Mm-hmm.
very honest where I lie. I'm not saying I'm not what I do is not important. It's very important, but there's a chronology. So
Hmm.
you can have the best service, best product, but if people are not buying it, if people don't know about it, people are not convinced to spend money on buying it, there's literally no point, right?
Hmm.
So
Exactly.
marketing and sales is the number one, even
Hmm.
before operations, number one. So first invest in that, honestly. So that's what I would recommend in general. Like, first invest in your sales and marketing, get that process going. Let's get,
Hmm.
because that's the process that will get customers, that will get revenue. Secondly, I would like to, before you even think about expanding to another location, I would like to see, your current location making profit and making like at least 20% net income after expenses and after you've paid yourself. Is
Hmm.
it making a 20% profit? Do you know which all of your, what, and before even looking into a new location, maybe you have these. three services, are they fully optimized? Like if you have these three services, are all your employees their like productivity at least 70 to 80%? I don't
Mm-hmm.
recommend squeezing your employees at all, but 70 to
Mm-hmm.
80% is very healthy and decent productivity for your employees. Uh, and yeah, the next rest 20% they can take some breaks, coffee breaks, lunch breaks, bath breaks, fine. But at least 70 to 80% they should be productive at productive work. So there are a lot of these things that needs to line up. Like, are you getting even customers through the roof with your current? Can you expand some of your offerings? Are your current employees fully productive? Maybe if you can add two more and increase the optimization of your current employee, or maybe hire one more employee, and then that can increase the revenue and profitability of your current. So I would first look at that, and only then, like, if yeah, your current offerings, your current productivity, your current revenue, your current net income, all of these are kind of consistent and aligned where it should be.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now what will be the cost of opening another one? How much investment do you need? How much, cash runway in the bank you need? All of that. So then it becomes a topic of, okay, we need these five things, and
Mm-hmm.
that means this much cash runway in the bank so that you can consistently, and then how do we get the marketing going for that? So it is a very holistic discussion. So it's
Mm-hmm.
a, but like that's how I will like kind of look into it. But to any
Mm-hmm.
business owner, invest in marketing and sales. That's the first thing
Mm-hmm.
you should invest in.
Yeah, quick disclaimer, I didn't pay her to say that. This wasn't planned. I did not, ask for a sponsorship there. But again, it just comes to show exactly what I always say is that marketing is number one. Marketing, you got to be seen, you got to be visible. Do people know about you? Because like you said, you can have the best service, the best product, you could be the best doctor in town, but if no one knows you, then no one's gonna come and do business with you. So that is very important. And then where are you located? I forgot to say, where are you based out of?
I'm
And
in
do you,
Austin, Texas, but I can work with business all across the country.
oh, okay, perfect. So you
When I
do,
say country, United States.
okay, perfect. Exactly. Yeah, yeah. People want us, I mean, we have ideas for us to expand somehow internationally, but now we're saying the continental US, but that's great that you can work with, nationwide. You can do a remote, virtual. So that's great. Again, it comes down to numbers and numbers tell the story. What is numbers saying about what story are the numbers telling about your business, your med spa, your location, and then how can we change that if you don't like how the story currently is? And if you have a great story, then okay, then let's jump on a call with myself and with Dev and then see how what does the next phase, the next chapter look like, when we talk about growth or franchising or expansion, so it doesn't matter where you are like in the growth or the stage of your practice of your career, like exactly where you at and how can we help you guys get to that next level. So Dev, if people like what they hear, what's the best way for them to get in contact with you?
My website is www.numbersnirvana.com. It's right here.
I'm trying to point you to it, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And then
And
there,
just you can, there's a link there to schedule a call with me. Just schedule a call with me. That's the best way. And then my Instagram is Numbers Nirvana. My Facebook is Numbers Nirvana. My LinkedIn is my name, Devarati Dasgupta. Um, but like if you just want to talk to me, best way, go to my website, book a call.
awesome, awesome. And then yeah, so come with an open mind, come with your books in hand, I'd say, be willing and open to kind of be confronted with what the numbers are saying. Because again, the only that we whatever we're unwilling to confront, we can't change. And if we say we want growth, we want to change, we want to expand, then we have to understand if what we have been doing hasn't been working, then what do we need to change? What do we need to optimize? What do we need to kind of, have a mental shift? Okay, this isn't working. We gotta pivot, we gotta shift, and this isn't to confront you or intimidate you or put you down. Like, no, look, obviously you've done a great job with opening your practice. maybe you have a couple employees, you're making money. So now the thing is, okay, how do we get that consistent and predictable growth? So we can talk about going back to what you said, we want to make sure that the first location has like a proven model, proven systems that is generating profit, not just revenue. Because some business owners, they think if I open a second location, if I'm making $2 million in a location, if I open a second one, that's gonna jump to four. But then they forget about, you have increased overhead, expenses, payroll, marketing costs, or you won't market the other location because you think the first one did so well that just word of mouth is gonna get you to that other location for growth. So all these little things that, like I'd say, that there's different levels and layers to this that, yeah, I would say hire a pro, don't try to do it yourself. We all seen the commercials of TurboTax. You can do your own accounting, you can do your own bookkeeping. And I always say, like, just like you wouldn't do your own surgery, don't do your own marketing, don't do your own bookkeeping, because again, you're gonna try to pencil it so it makes sense to you and maybe for IRS purposes, save some money. But if you're really looking for growth and expansion, then hire a pro, hire her on all levels as a bookkeeper, accountant, fractional CFO. Let her take a look at it, analyze it, and then get back to you on what's the next, plan for growth for you. So yeah, don't try to do it yourself. Work with the pros. Because I say I have this saying that do what you do best and cut a check out for the rest. So
I agree.
your job is to do appointments, whether it's Botox, body contouring, weight loss program. Leave the numbers to a professional like Dev that she get your numbers to that state of nirvana, and then you can just be blissful, happy, and just looking for that next phase and the next growth. So, thank you so much, Dev, for being on today's episode. Go ahead.
I do have one small thing to share before we end
Sure.
this, and
Yeah.
that is I'm currently offering a financial health assessment, and
Mm-hmm.
its full value is $500. I'm now discounting it at $250, and it won't be there for a long time. So where I will, and just reach out to me to schedule that financial health assessment through the website or through my socials. Um, and the way it works is I will ask you about your growth plans, your business, and your pain points. And then I will either get access to your books or you can upload the financials. Yeah, the prerequisite to the financial health assessment is you should have already consistent bookkeeping. So if you don't have that, then just talk to me about getting your bookkeeping consistent. But if you already have a good bookkeeper you work with and you need more support, then so that's where I can start with the financial health assessment. So once I have access to your reports, then I will come up with an assessment which will have what's working, what's not working, what needs to be improved upon with a 90-day action plan, a financial dashboard with different KPIs and metrics across 7 financial pillars, what they mean, why are they relevant to your business, where your business is at and where it should be. And I usually have like a rag, red, amber, green color coding. So you'll
Okay,
know
yeah.
exactly very visually well, what are the different metrics, why is it important, where your business is and where it should be. So, and then you also get a 13-week cash flow forecast. And then I will sit with you for an hour and walk you through that assessment. So, in less than
Mhm.
2 hours of your time and in $250, you are getting a very deep dive financial health assessment of your business with strategic action steps.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, so guys definitely take advantage of that. She's giving it 50% discount on it. Check every year we go for our check-in, physical with our doctors. Not many times do we have someone that can actually diagnose and give a health report on our business. I would definitely take her up on that. And whether you feel you're ready, or you don't think you're ready, or you think you're making too much that you don't may not need it, but it's always good just have a second opinion. Let her look at it, let her diagnose the situations, and then give you that action plan. Even just for that action plan, it would be key because you know exactly what to start doing to start improving the practice. So make sure you guys and that they can find it on your website, correct? That's on the website.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So yeah,
Yeah.
make sure you guys go to numbersnirvana.com. Make sure you guys set your appointment and take advantage of that health report of your business to ensure that, you're going to keep growing and keep improving, which is every year, our New Year's goal is always that. So now that we're here and already in the halfway point of the year, let's do a checkup on what your current numbers are saying, and let's get you, to end the better half of 2026. So thank you so much, Deb, for your time. I hope a lot of the viewers got a lot of great notes, takeaways. I know it's gonna be one of many more future episodes because again, there's so many things that we can dive into this. So let's definitely do it again. But I appreciate your time. It was great connecting with you, and yeah, let's see how we can grow this partnership and this collaboration.
I agree. Thank you for having me as your guest. The honor is all mine, and I really enjoyed our conversations, and I would love to do more podcasts, honestly. We can
Hmm.
really dig deep into MedSpa and numbers. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, maybe do a separate show, MedSpas and Numbers. That'll be that'll be
Yes.
good. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining the MedSpa Growth Podcast. Again, I'm your host with Noel Cuarezma with Soaring High Marketing Solutions. I love same way with her, right? Do a free analysis on your current marketing to see exactly where you guys are at. But that's all for today's episode. Make sure you guys hit the like button, subscribe, put your comments, any questions you have down below. I'll make sure I get that over to Deb, and then that way she can get in contact with you and be able to dive deeper into your practice, your business, and your numbers. So thank you so much, Deb. It was great having you today.
Thank you.